Welcome, folks. I thought I'd do a little video here on the Minnesota Iceman, especially given what's gone on with the recent allegations about the possible Bigfoot massacre at Bluff Creek at the time of the Patterson-Gimlin film. And as some of you might not know, it's the research of N.K. Davis. It's his contention that one of the fatalities, the Bigfoot Sasquatch fatalities of that massacre, ended up as being the Minnesota Iceman. So I'm gonna read the historical background of the Minnesota Iceman, which I think will be interesting. So here it is. Okay, the Minnesota Iceman, a wild man exhibited in a U.S. carnival, said to have come from Southeast Asia, but possibly a hoax. Physical description: adult male hominid, height 5 feet 10 inches, which would indicate that it was a young Sasquatch, which is sad, of course, if it is true. Covered in long brown hair, 3 to 4 inches long, except on the face. The longer individual hairs seem to have an agouti pattern of light bands, pinkish skin, large eye sockets. Eyeballs were apparently missing. Hugged nose with nostrils pointing upward. Wide mouth with no eversion of the lips. Folds and wrinkle lines around the mouth were apparently human-like. Short neck. A cape of long black hair flowed around the neck. Wide shoulders. Rounded ribcage. Trunk is ovoid in shape rather than hourglass. Relatively long arms. Wide wrist. Prominent pad on the heel of the palm. Hands are spatulate and disproportionately large, 11 inches long and more than 7 inches wide. Knuckles are poorly defined. Slender thumb is fully opposed. Fingernails are square, flat, and yellow, but missing on the thumb. Fingers and toes are larger and more robust than a man's. Penis is slender, tapering, and pale yellow. Scrotum is wrinkled and brownish. Knees are only sparsely haired. Feet are 10 to 10 inches wide, 8 to 10 inches wide, measured across the toes. Profuse hair on the feet. Big toe is apposed, not opposed as in apes. All toes are nearly the same size with bulbous terminal pads. Significant sighting. After being alerted by university student Terry Cullen that a carnival was exhibiting a hairy man encased in ice, Ivan Sanderson and Bernard Heuvelmans visited the exhibit from December 16th to 18th, 1968 at the home of its owner, Frank Hansen, near Rolling Stone, Minnesota. For 3 days they examined the Iceman and took detailed notes, sketches, and photographs. Most significantly, they noted that the creature had seemingly been shot in its right eye, with the bullet displacing the left eye. A pool of blood apparently surrounded the back of its head. One forearm seemed to have an open fracture caused by a wound. Heuvelmans and Sanderson both detected an unmistakable odor of rotting flesh exuding from one corner of the exhibit. Gaseous exudations apparently formed bursts of semi-opaque, crystalline ice within the transparent block. Sanderson claimed to have tracked down hair samples taken from the Iceman when it was imported, which he wrote, turned up in a university in the South. Hansen claimed that the Iceman was the property of an anonymous millionaire who later withdrew the real specimen from public view and substituted a model made from latex and hair that went on the carnival route for several years afterward. His account of where the original came from varies. Russian seal hunters or Japanese whalers found it floating in Russia's Sea of Okhotsk, already entombed in ice. Hansen shot it himself near Whiteface in northern Minnesota, or he purchased it from an exporter in Hong Kong. Possible explanations: a synthetic fake manufactured by Hansen or a Hollywood special effects expert he hired. In 1981, it was claimed that the late Howard Ball, who made models for Disneyland, had created the original with his son Kenneth, based on an artist's conception of Cro-Magnon Man. In 1973, I worked for two individuals who were formerly associated with Hansen in the carnival exhibition business. They told me with a certain amount of calculated reluctance that Hansen had a model made on his living room floor. However, this information is still hearsay evidence, and although I had at the time established a limited amount of confidence as a carny, I probably would not have been told the truth if Hansen had actually imported a wild man from Southeast Asia. My sources, after all, were in the business of exhibiting a brown agouti as a giant rat from the sewers of Paris. Number 2 possible explanation. Heuvelmans believed Hansen, who was a captain in the US Air Force during the Vietnam War, had shot or at least acquired an Nguyen Hung in Vietnam in the mid-1960s and smuggled it into the United States in a military body bag. Now folks, that an Nguyen Hung was a rock ape that the Bigfoot Sasquatch over in Vietnam and Laos that the US military encountered over there. That was their name for it. So the creature cannot be a normal human of any race or even a composite produced by assembling several species. However, Heuvelmann's identification of the animal as Neanderthal misses the mark, since there is no characteristic brow ridge or sloping forehead. The robust arms and legs do match though. Heuvelmans apparently obtained photographs showing the face before and after it was thawed out for a short time. Number 3 possible explanation. Mark Hall considers the Iceman to be closer in form to Homo erectus, which he thinks is represented by the Gaisgeek, Almas or Bar Muno of Central Asia. So folks, that's some interesting background on the Minnesota Iceman. And it's very sad if it is true that the Minnesota Iceman was in fact one of the victims of this massacre now that has blown the Bigfoot community wide open. Certainly the accounts of the 3 days of the investigation that we've just heard, it would lend itself to a true creature having been shot. But this is at the time of the investigation. It was over a year after the Patterson-Gimlin film. So it's very interesting. The truth is out there, as they say, or as Mulder said in the X-Files. But anyway, folks, hope you liked this little video. And yeah, let's see where this all goes. Alright, catch you next time.